Transforming your life through hypnotherapy has never been easier. With the help of your host, Julie from CoachingHypnosis.net, and these power-packed minisodes, you're sure to find yourself engaging in more positive behaviors around both your physical and mental health. Here's your host, Julie.
G'day, it's Julie from CoachingHypnosis.net, and you deserve to know the one massive Un-hypnotise zombie move for 2022. Because people have had enough of being a luminary of society and having zombie friends around them at the same time. I'm not a therapist or psychotherapist, but this is my 9th year as a clinical hypnotherapist in strategic psychotherapy. I currently help my clients online. They change their life without changing out of their pajamas. And you deserve to know the truth. If you can, unhypnotize a zombie. And there's nothing worse than noticing your champion friends, trailblazing colleagues, or proactive family members turn into zombies. But in 2012, the search term zombie apocalypse was at the number 2 spot on Google's list of trending search terms. But don't worry, according to government scientists, the zombies were not coming for you. And in that same year, 2012, jokingly, the US Homeland Security Department warned of a zombie apocalypse. And then there was the Miami zombie, the man who ate another man's face. And more recently, I came across a podcast called Zombified from the Arizona State University, where they define a zombie as an entity that is fully or partially under control of another entity. This includes host-parasite interactions, autonomous technology, and coercion or control in human interactions. These dynamics, where one entity controls another, can lead to unanticipated biological, technological, and social consequences. And while I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that something can take over a human, but what I do know is we've all experienced feeling out of sorts and observing that in others. So I'm kind of open to the concept of partially under the control of another entity. But first of all, an abreaction is the most terrifying thing you can experience in hypnosis. It is total zombie. And while I understand planning for a zombie apocalypse is used as an analogy when planning for things like hurricanes, cyclones, and pandemics, because if you can plan for a zombie apocalypse, you can plan for anything. But an abreaction is worse than zombie. The patient's stuck in hypnosis. They can't hear you. They can't see you. And as a hypnotist, we shouldn't touch them in case they get stuck in hypnosis even longer. The patient experiencing the abreaction will cry or scream and can be highly emotional. It can be spontaneous and last for a long period of time. They're stuck in hypnosis, eyes closed. They're stuck. You can't wake them up. For example, if I have a client who wants to give up smoking, but I have no idea they once had a traumatic experience and almost drowned. They say nothing about almost drowning on their client intake form or in any phone calls or in the client interview. And while they're under hypnosis, I say, go deep, deeper down, floating, drifting. And the words I've just said cause a flashback, and worse, the patient's not disassociated. I'm not saying imagine your body's in front of you now and put all of your emotions into that body. That's disassociation. The client's in their body, stuck in their body, having a traumatic flashback, and I have to wait and call out their name slowly, loudly, confidently until they snap out of it and put them back under again using a different set of words because they arrived to give up smoking, not experience an abreaction. And I don't want to turn clients into abreaction zombies because World War I saw a great need for rapid psychological treatment, intervention with traumatized combat soldiers. Hypnosis was widely used not only to relieve symptoms, but also for traumatic memories. Once the trauma was uncovered, the patient was encouraged first in hypnosis, then in the waking state to become aware of the experience and describe it to the therapist. This produced excellent results, but it's unfortunate a number of German and English military psychotherapists utilized a variant of different methods, and one theory was symptoms of war neurosis were due to repression of anger. So they would hypnotize soldiers and make them remember past traumas, but give them the opportunity to act out the transformation in anger. And as you and I both know, that's probably one of the worst things you can do to a human, because the patient had to then go and relive all of those terrifying experiences all over again. And then there was the Freudian conception of emotion as quantum energy, like a charge of electricity, which would become attached to any idea. Therefore, each emotional memory would then imply the existence of a separate and distinct pocket of explosive energy in the mind or in the nervous system, attached to the memory and serving the function of a detonator. So it was assumed an abreaction was releasing this disturbing pocket of energy and that it would be eliminated from the system. However, the conclusion was patients had been made to live through disturbing experiences repeatedly in hypnosis, and that showed an increase rather than relief of symptoms. And the two pioneers, Myers and McDougall, believed that the essential step in relief was the use of disassociation. In the period up to World War II, the importance of resolving post-traumatic disassociation over abreaction, which was believed to be pent-up emotions, was mostly forgotten. And during World War II, drugs that helped soldiers sleep became the treatment of choice for war neurosis. And the literature on abreaction following World War II not only continued over to cover war neurosis, but also extended to several other diagnostic categories. Hypnotic abreaction with neurotic patients was also not successful. A number of publications indicated that abreaction techniques were also ineffective in the treatment of non-traumatized neurotic patients. However, there was a theory at the time that there must be some therapeutic value of freeing up pent emotions and acknowledging and integrating disassociated traumatic memories. And I can only imagine someone like you is also wanting to vomit at the idea that these people who fight for our country witness the horrors of war and somehow are meant to relive experiences to make them better. I don't know if I want to laugh or cry when I talk about these things, but it gets worse, because then came the Vietnam War with its vast number of casualties, renewed interest in the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorders. This time, the primary treatment emphasis was on integration, because abreaction just led to more abreaction. In 1980, it was reported hypnotherapy could delay a stress response in a syndrome of a Vietnam combat veteran, and using the right age regression technique would result in positive memories of a lost comrade. But it was very limited, a bit hit and miss. PTSD at that time was characterized by an alternation between denial and intrusion, and the hypnotherapist was still encouraged to elicit an emotional expression from the patient, increasing the patient's risk for intrusive experiences. Then it got worse. Some therapists dabbled with medication and abreaction, but the fact is, some patients felt they had more control with this method than just flat-out narcotherapy, because they felt it permitted finer control over the uncovering process. Thank goodness all great hypnotists still to this day refuse to practice an energetic model that emphasizes on the emotion releasing or memory uncovering aspects of abreaction. And as you've probably worked out by now, one of the first things we do as a hypnotist is we do everything we possibly can to avoid the patient experiencing an abreaction. And touch wood, it hasn't happened to me so far, but I know one day it just might happen. And in 2021, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, removed their blog on zombie preparedness. I think they also had to give a formal apology to the general public. While zombie as a metaphor is used for emergency preparedness, at the time the public panicked and really did think there might be a zombie apocalypse. The CDC is America's elite when it comes to disease control and prevention, and I'm not surprised their results-driven citizens would have taken what they wrote on their website literally. The CDC conducted a study to determine if the public at least retained the information about emergency preparedness, and guess what? They didn't. And when the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention adopted the zombie team in an effort to engage youth and young adults In emergency preparedness, some participants were given normal and natural disaster scenarios and others a zombie apocalypse. Participants in the zombie-themed scenario were 15.84 times as likely to include firearms in their emergency preparedness lists compared to participants who were exposed to the natural disaster scenario. But maybe how to approach zombies should be like sleepwalkers, people who walk in their sleep. There's a widely held belief sleepwalkers shouldn't be woken up because some people think it will increase the sleepwalker's risk of a heart attack, increase disorientation, or put them in a coma. The nicest thing to do is to lead them back to bed. They do not hurt themselves. They'll remain deeply asleep, and it's likely that they will not remember a thing in the morning. Here is the one massive Un-hypnotise zombie move for 2022, because an ab reaction is no big deal. Even if your client starts freaking out, your thoughts are spiraling, or you're both getting worse, your calculated moves can get them out. Speak calmly and firmly. Tell them to open their eyes and look at you. Don't touch them. It's easy if the client opens their eyes, but if they're freaking out, it means that they're stuck in a memory. You can ask them about their immediate environment, things like, what day is it? Where are you? What time it is? But if they don't open their eyes, a leader like you knows you need to dominate the situation in order to control and protect the client. Firmly call the client's name and let them know they are safe. You can say things like, on the count of 3, you'll be able to open your eyes. Keep repeating loudly and slowly until you notice their breathing's more rhythmical and calm, and eventually they'll open their eyes. This can take up to 20 minutes. And if you are a hypnotist, you know all the finer steps to follow once they open their eyes, like anchoring and to park that experience in the past. So what if you were to think about unhypnotizing a zombie differently? And what if you didn't? The choice is yours.